It's time now for a look through the papers with Deepti Coloran. Hi, Deepti.
Hi, Jeannie.
Here in France, of course, all the focus is on this massive strike day today across the country.
That's right, a day of mass disruption. Teachers, police officers, students, trash collectors, transport workers, and many, many others, tens of thousands of others, are walking off the job as part of a mass strike against the government's pension reforms. Public transport will be the biggest hit sector, with trains and buses nearly at a standstill, at least here in Paris. French President Emmanuel Macron has faced tests before, but nothing of this scale. That's really what the French papers are saying. The last time this kind of strike happened was in 1995, and back then the government did have to capitulate to protesters' demands. For that reason, today and when going forward will be Emmanuel Macron's baptism by fire, this paper says.
Now, the strikes have, of course, garnered lots of interest outside of France as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, also about what it says about Emmanuel Macron's presidency. The New York Times says it'll notably call into question his apparent triumph over the Yellow Vest movement last year, which then that triumph was seen as a pivotal moment in his presidency. Thursday's action will once more be calling into question Emmanuel Macron's top-down management. The paper warning that previous governments have, quote, foundered on the third rail of French politics, which is pension reform, or the pension system. There are lots of comparisons to 1995. El País, the Spanish paper, noting that the date of this Thursday, December the 5th, is quite symbolic. It was a date of a mass protest back in 1995 as well.
Let's go to the U.S. now and talk a bit more about the impeachment inquiry into Donald Trump. One witness statement yesterday actually drew quite a bit of anger from First Lady Melania Trump.
That's right. And a host of Republicans, actually. Constitutional law expert Pamela Karlan was giving her statement in Donald Trump's impeachment inquiry. She's since had to apologize for her comments, but she sparked the anger of Republicans when she said this, I quote, "The Constitution says there can be no titles of nobility. So while the president can call his son Baron, he cannot make him a baron." Her comments sparking fiery responses from Melania Trump and the White House. The conservative website Washington Examiner saying Karlan's, quote, antics played to the Republicans' talking points, which is mainly that this impeachment inquiry is less about the rule of law than it is about damaging Donald Trump. There's also a lot of anger about why the son of the U.S. president was brought into this. Slate magazine admits her comment was an awful pun, but is also critical of the way the Republicans have reacted. The website saying rather snidely in this article that if recent history is any lesson, Republicans will be reminding us of the egregious acknowledgement of Barron's given name until the day we die.
Deepti, now to Samoa, where a mass vaccination campaign is underway to fight a measles epidemic.
Yeah, that's right. The island of just 200,000 people, Jeannie, is facing around over 4,000 cases of measles, an epidemic that began back in October. It's killed at least 62 people, mostly children. An unprecedented two-day lockdown has begun today, with businesses and public services shut and vaccination teams going door to door to vaccinate people. One local Samoan paper calls it the saddest and strangest day, one of the saddest and strangest days in the history of the nation, noting they're used to states of emergency, but nothing like what we're seeing today.
All right, another story now, and I'm not sure I've got this right. Researchers in Finland have trained pieces of plastic to walk.
That's right. That's pretty much it, from what I understand. It's quite interesting, but they've used the Pavlov dog theory, where if you train a dog to do something by compensating it with food, it'll do it. So Finnish researchers trained plastic matter to walk like an inchworm at a snail's pace, they say, using light and heat. I'll spare you the scientific jargon, but it's an interesting experiment because scientists say it could help them look at inanimate objects in a different light, and this could actually help things like biomedical applications.
Interesting. All right, let's wrap up now with a look at Queen Elizabeth's second child, Princess Anne. She's apparently having her moment in the spotlight now.
Well, that's right. I mean, well, first of all, she's been featured in the latest season of The Crown, and I know that is fiction, but people seem to be conflating the two. But also her behavior at the NATO summit recently. Basically, she's been described as someone who's low profile and unpretentious. She's been married twice. Her kids don't have titles. She survived a kidnapping attempt in 1974. So she's somewhat of a rebel already. And then at the NATO summit this week, she was seen in not one but two videos in which, the first one in which she and a host of world leaders appeared to be making fun of Donald Trump, and another in which she appeared to have been scolded by her mom for shrugging when asked to shake hands with Donald Trump. So I guess who doesn't love a 69-year-old rebel royal, right?
I'll take it. Deepti, thank you for that. Deepti on there with that look at the press review today. Don't forget, if you want to get a closer look at it or see it again, you can always check it out on the website. The address is france24.com.